Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Episode. Terran got another fun and random episode for you guys this evening. That is because last Friday, Low Content Burning Rangers discovered that there was a hidden prototype of Silhouette Mirage in a demo disc that was released. It used to be that you could play the first two levels and the demo would end, but with some trickery, just like he's done before, he's brought us an entire pre-release version of Silhouette Mirage on the disc. And that is absolutely amazing. This is one of my favorite treasure games of all time, even if the color mechanic still basically breaks my brain. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But like I've said in previous videos, the Sega Saturn is having an absolutely epic January, and it is just continuing. There's been so many new versions of games we know and love, so many new demos and experiences. It feels like the Sega Saturn is a brand new console, getting new releases all the time. And if you've never played Silhouette Mirage before, you definitely owe it to yourself to check it out. This is one of the most interesting and unique, strange and charming games on the Sega Saturn, and having a pre-release version of the full game is absolutely epic. Now, as far as I can tell so far, the changes do seem to be minimal, but there could be something hiding in this. If you've played the game a ton, definitely let me know if you see any differences. And the best part is there is a debug menu as well that you can get into to select all the way around the game. Because the one thing you cannot do in this game is save. If you hold down 3 buttons and hit start when the treasure logo is animating on the screen at the beginning of the game, you will get into an option mode that is not accessible from the main menu. You can change the difficulty, and if you turn debug on, you're going to get a full level select. That's going to let you navigate around this entire game, check out all the levels that you couldn't play on the demo disc before, and basically just see what's going on. And as soon as you hit game start here, you'll be brought to a new menu where you can select every single stage and sub-stage within the Silhouette Mirage game itself, which is awesome because this demo disc previously would stop you at level 2, and I actually do have this disc in my collection. I picked it up years ago for like $5 on eBay. And it's just amazing to get more beta or pre-release versions of games, especially when they're as good as Silhouette Mirage. It is possible that the changes might not be that exciting, but it still should be celebrated. I'm sure there's definitely some different things in here that the eagle-eyed among you will spot, because this has only been out for like 72 hours as of when you're watching this video. And it is just so cool to see all this stuff happening with Sega Saturn in January. Bomberman SS, the Bomberman Fight translation, all sorts of different experiences that we're getting. It is just a great year for Sega Saturn, and it's still only January. And I have noticed a few slight differences in this game, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be hunting around to find out. And it really makes me think what other demo discs are out there hiding full versions of games. Because that was a very common thing to do back in the day. You'd put an entire build on a demo disc, and then you would just basically encode software lock something out so you couldn't progress. So people are going in, defeating those locks, and being able to show you all sorts of new things. And again, if you've never played this game before, never figured it out, give it some time. The color mechanic definitely is very confusing. If you've ever played Ikaruga, you'll understand how it kind of works. But you will see here that one color I can reflect back, and one color is going to damage me. You're constantly changing your color, navigating around the screen, and trying to understand what the game world is asking of you. It can be hard and difficult to learn this game, but once you do, everything's going to start to click. And the 2D visuals, the sprite work, the colors, the awesome way you circumnavigate the game world just make this one of my favorite 2D Sega Saturn games of all time. And now having a new version of a game I know and love is even more exciting. There's been so much awesome preservation work on Sega Saturn this year, and I hope it continues throughout the entire year because it is one of my favorite consoles, and it's one that more people are seeing love now that MiSTer FPGA has a core out. And I did check this briefly on MiSTer. It does run, but I did this on Mednafen, so I know everyone can definitely enjoy it. But it should run on real hardware as well, based upon the documentation I saw when I added the patch to the game files. But I just love stuff like this. Seeing games I know and love in different versions with changes, debug menus, and things like that, it just makes a great experience that much more exciting, and it brings new life to games that maybe you haven't played in a while. It's just always to be celebrated when these things are found, and I'm sure there's a ton more in the Sega Saturn ecosphere that is going to be found in 2024. But leave me a comment down below and tell me what game you'd love to see a prototype of more than anything else. And the soundtrack is a straight 10 out of 10. So go ahead and listen for like 40 seconds, and I'll be back with more information on this newly found prototype version of Silhouette Mirage. But enjoy! This game is so unique down to the soundtrack, and I absolutely love some of the boss battles here. It looks like we're kind of fighting on what looks like a blue Reese's cup or maybe a bottle cap when we have this looks like pre-rendered sprite just swimming around the screen. This game is hard, it takes a long time to learn, but it is oh so worth actually checking out because there's so many different unique levels, so many different enemies to see, and the artwork, the soundtrack, everything about this game is just a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. And it's going to be fun to continue to play this game in my spare time and see what other differences I can find, because this is one of those titles, if you ask me what I would love to see a prototype for on Sega Saturn, this would probably make like the top 10 or top 15 list of games I would love to see pre-release versions of. And I'm sure now that people are on the hunt for these demo discs that may have full games on them, you're probably going to see more of this happening. Now I will say Silhouette Mirage can definitely be a little bit cryptic even in this pre-release version, but I do love this power-up station here. You basically have what looks like a hippie rabbit hanging out, and he has this gigantic cart which kind of turns into almost like a projector, a hologram, where you can basically upgrade or restore your life. And with that debug mode, you are going to get 9,999 units of value, whatever the hell in this game they're actually using for money. But again, you're just going to have to figure out what's going on in some spots. And honestly, this game is just so weird in areas as well. This kaiju looking worm with two heads comes out and just starts destroying the city in front of you. And interestingly enough, I'm going to have a review of this game on my PlayStation 1 series shortly. I just felt like playing it over there, and I'm so excited to be able to take a look at this pre-release version before we move into that video in a couple of weeks. And this game is just so incredibly charming. The intro FMV is some of the best work I think I've ever seen on the Sega Saturn. It's fun, it's unique, it's colorful. The developers and artists at Treasure 100% just made a fully realized game world when they made Silhouette Mirage, and all of the enemies in here, those dolls that look like girls, the pumpkin heads with candles in their mouths, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but for some reason when you're actually playing this game or watching the FMV intro sequences, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. You just want to see what it shows you next. And there are a ton of different demo discs out in the world for Sega Saturn and pretty much every other console, so it's fun to see more of these things getting love. I can't even remember why I decided to buy the disc back in the day. I think it was just like $5 from a seller that I was buying something from, and they combined shipping, so I said why not just throw it in there. And now I know that it has a full release version of Silhouette Mirage, except done a few weeks before the actual retail game ship. This seems to be like 16 days or so predated to when the actual final build was done. And that means there's definitely changes in there somewhere, and people are going to have to find them. But again, if you've never played this game before, I hope this FMV is selling you on what it truly is. It's a weird, unique experience that if you are a Sega Saturn fan or a 2D gaming fan, you need to play at least once in your life, because it's pretty much unlike anything else you've ever experienced outside of Ikaruga, and that's only because of the color changing mechanics. But again, I can't celebrate these things enough. It's so much fun to be able to make random videos to tell you a prototype pre-release build for one of what I would consider the Sega Saturn's best games is here, and you can check it out today. You do need to grab the patch from the Sega Extreme website, and you need the X Delta patcher to do it, but honestly, if you can use your mouse, you can definitely pull that off. It is very simple. Be able to leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think of Silhouette Mirage, and tell me the one game more than any other you would love to see a beta prototype or pre-release for. I know a lot of us would love to see a lot of different things, and I would love to know what you would like. But there you go, Silhouette Mirage, a 2-week earlier prototype is here, and you can play it today. I'll be back next time something cool happens in Saturn, that'll probably be next week. Bye bye!